So for the practice this morning, we don't need anything in particular, but please take everything that you require to be very comfortable. And that's more towards relaxation. We'll begin lying down on the backs. So making your way down, resting the feet down, letting the arms release. And I quite enjoy tucking my shoulder blades gently under so the shoulders can melt to the floor, and also giving me a bit of openness across the upper chest. As you're free to lie down in any way that actually suits your body, you can keep your knees bent or even come into a constructive rest if that's something that feels good for you. See if you can align the neck in particular, as oftentimes, especially when we're feeling quite tight, the head is dropping back in this kind of way. So if you've got a slight sensation of that, bring the chin in, and then just allow the body to be held by the floor. And that's something that sometimes is quite necessary for ourselves, that we find a place in which we can trust and just be, rather than feeling even judged by ourselves, let alone by others. When we have stuff going on in our lives, it's even more so important to take care of ourselves. We will do this today by observing the flow, and also by allowing a lot of flow to occur. As you start to deepen your breaths, notice if that comes quite easy to you. Sometimes when we're feeling a little bit challenged mentally or a bit anxious, the breath is the last thing that we want to focus on. So if that might be you, start with a long, slow out breath. And then see if you can deepen your in-breaths as well. As you explore the breath when it flows more deeply, you might also think about releasing that into full yogic breath. As you breathe into your belly, expand your ribs, move the breath to the collarbones. And as you breathe out, let the belly fall, the ribs come in, the upper chest releasing. Allowing all of that to flow, just in and out of the nostrils, always from belly through ribs to collarbones, even on the out breath. As I usually say, so do I today, Ujjayi technique is welcome, but it's not essential for the practice. And if it makes you feel rather a bit dizzy or interesting, let's say, refrain from it. It is a light constriction in the back of the throat that creates an oceanic or hissing sound. And that is a beautiful companion for the full yogi breath. So keep that flowing, and if it comes naturally to you using that constriction in the throat, you may add that to your breathing practice. And observe the breath as it flows. And if you are able to add the sound of the Ujjayi breath, you can listen to that too, as it also has to do with the flow. As we think of it as an oceanic sound, you're also thinking about the flow of water, the tide coming in and out. And I invite you to keep the breath flowing just like you established it right now. And to keep that going while we practice a few moves lying down here on the back. If your arms aren't slightly open to the side like mine, please get them there. And then bending your knees and stepping your feet down. You can have them here at a comfortable distance. We begin with a slight movement of the knees from side to side. Please link the movements with your breath. And notice how it feels to let the pelvis rock a little bit from side to side, and how that might rock across the sacrum as well. Maybe stimulate your lower back. Now, please be careful with any type of twist and the increase of it if there's back pain, as we allow the knees movement to become larger. And we're moving the knees now quite significantly from side to side. When your knees land over towards the left-hand side next, let them rest there. See if it's comfortable, or if you need some support lightly between the knees maybe. If it's possible, do stack the knees and then roll all the way onto your left-hand side. Let your arms extend forward with the palms touching, and the arms are about shoulder height. On your next breath in, let your right hand just slide up the arm. Brush across the chest, and if your neck is okay, as the arm extends to the other side, you might look into the palm of the hand. We'll repeat that a couple of times. So let your arm come across, touching the palms of the hands together. And as you're inhaling, let your hand slide up your arm, brush across the chest, and move over to the other side. Bringing your arm across one more time, touching the palms. On the inhale, slide your hand up. Stay in contact with your body as you brush across the chest, and then end up in your twist. If it's possible, you will look over towards your right-hand side, but then we'll just simply stay here for a few breaths. While you keep your breath flowing in this way, I will also ask you to pay attention to the general flow within the body. Although we're holding, the energy still flows. You might have sensations in the body. Your breath might be challenged at times. So simply noticing what is flowing right now without any judgment as usual. Please center your head. Engage a little bit your core muscles as you lift your knees back up and step your feet down. Now you might have rolled a little bit over to the side, so I suggest that you center your torso and buttocks again on the mat. With another exhalation, let your knees now roll over to the right-hand side. And again, if it feels okay for you to stack the legs, please do. And bring your left arm across to the right-hand side. Arms, if you've got the space, are extended at shoulder height. Palms are touching. You're lying all the way on your right-hand side. With the in-breaths, let your left hand slide up your right arm. Brush across the chest. And as you're rolling over, your gaze might extend towards your left palm. We'll go for the second round. So swing your left arm across, touch the palms of the hands together. And when you're inhaling, let the hand slide up the arm. Brush across the chest and extend to the other side. We'll do that again, last round. Bring your left arm to touch onto the right. On the inhale, slide the hand up the arm, brush across the chest, and then come to rest within your twists. Your gaze, although the eyes might be closed, can be extended over towards the left-hand side. and deliberately saying can be extended. Notice now what it feels like to be in the twist here. The quality of flow in energy, physical body, breath, and wherever else you might discover some flow. Even if you have an idea of being stuck somewhere, rather notice whatever else flows than getting stuck up on what you find. With the next inhalation, then centering the head. Use a bit of your core as you bring your knees into center. Again, step your feet onto the ground, adjust the buttocks, adjust the positioning of your spine, and let your arms rest a little bit closer down by the sides of your body. With your feet on the ground, you can keep them at hip distance. On the next breath in now, raising your right leg, extending the foot up towards the ceiling. And as you're breathing out, bend the knee and let your ankle come to rest over the thigh with the knee falling open. So if any of that doesn't suit your knees, it's fine to change the angle and try different approaches. Your hand, right hand, can rest on the inside of the leg or the knee, and you could carefully guide this leg away from you. But please keep your both sides of the pelvis grounded if you do so, as it's more of a hip opener now. You can stay here if you need the gentleness, or you can slide your right hand through between your legs. Lift your left foot off the floor and take a hold somewhere behind the leg or even across your shin. Make sure your head doesn't drop back too far, and aim to hug both knees in that figure four or reclined half pigeon pose. Your right elbow can be a guide for the knee to stay open, but we're nevertheless drawing both legs in towards our body. And you can adjust the height here of the left leg, seeing where's most beneficial. As well as that you could lean a little bit to the left or the right to find your sweet stretch spots that you might need to hold for a little bit longer. And as you're holding, please mind your breath so the breath doesn't get stuck, as some parts of our bodies might have. We will release that by letting go of the legs, stepping the left foot down, releasing the arms, and then extending the right leg up before you land your foot back down onto the mat. On the next inhale, extend your left leg. On the exhale, bend the knee and place your ankle on top of the right thigh, letting the knee fall open. You can use your left hand on the inside of the knee or the thigh to gently guide this leg away to assist the hip opening sensation. But at the same time, grounding down through both sides of the pelvis to be at ease and even. If you do want to take this further, let your left hand drop in between the legs. Lift your right foot off the floor and take a hold of the back of the thigh or the shin. While you can use your left elbow to guide the knee open, your first point of adjustment might be the neck as you bring that back into its natural place, hugging both legs in towards your body. You can again adjust the right leg here, so you may be finding an angle that hits a spot, but you could also lean a little bit to the left or the right and really aim to stretch out the spots that you need lengthening the most. And then stay there for a little while. We will release as you let go with your hands. Step the right foot down, relax the arms. Take a breath to extend your left leg, and then stepping the foot down to the ground. We will have both knees into the chest now. If you've got knee problems, you might bring the arms under the legs or under the knees to squeeze in, but you could also leave the knees more open. Otherwise, feel free to hug the shins in. And an option only to breathe out and lift your nose up to the space between the knees. Then lie back down onto the back. And if it feels right, have a rock of the spine over the back, the whole back really from side to side. So from this place, you can either just roll over to your side, come to sit, or if you feel a little bit of dynamic will suit you, you could rock 3-4 times up and down your spine before you come to sit. Now I have planned a cat and cow pose kneeling, but with the given circumstances, I will also give you the option of doing that from maybe an easy pose. If you choose that posture, hands can go to the knees and you would lift your heart and gaze and then round into the back. If that is yours, please stay seated. If you prefer to be in an all-four stance, and maybe it's possible to cushion your knees or cushion the hands or find a way to rest differently, you could do so. Otherwise, your knees are then hip distance apart, the hands about shoulder distance apart. As announced, we will do a cat and cow movement. If you like, you can tuck your toes under. With the inhale, we will all open the front of the spine, no matter which pose. And with the out breath, we will all round the back. On the inhale, lifting and opening the front. On the exhale, deeply rounding the back. Now go with that for a few more rounds. So when you completed your next one, you might neutralize the spine, even untuck the toes. Now, if you are currently seated and practicing, I suggest you might come either onto all fours or even into downward facing dog. If this is causing you trouble with the hand, you might choose to do this movement with hands resting against the wall like so. And those of you trouble kneeling could do the same. I will demonstrate it from all fours though, but the movement is exactly the same. With your inhalation, bring your right knee to your chest. Flex your foot as you breathe out, ever so slowly, extending the leg back with full strength in it. On the inhale, bring your knee to your chest. On the exhale, extend the leg slowly and with strength. Repeat that once more. On the inhale, knee comes to the chest. On the exhale, extending out into the leg. Then either if you're standing, rest the foot down or bring the knee down. We'll repeat exactly these movements on the other side. With the inhalation, bring your left knee in, flex your foot. And as you extend the leg, it is slowly, it is with full strength in the extension. On the inhale, bring your knee to the chest. On the exhale, reach out slowly through the sole of the foot. One more round. Breathing in, knee comes to the chest. Breathing out to extend. And then lower either the foot or the knees back down. Now, for those of you who have chosen not to kneel, I suggest that you come to sit. I will show you the alternative the moment I've instructed the thread the needle pose. So for all, we will lift the right arm as we're inhaling. And then with the exhale, come into thread the needle. If you can't or don't want to be on your knees, you will come to sit in a comfortable seat. You will inhale and reach your right arm out, and you will cross the arm over the body and taking a hold here. Please make sure your shoulder is as much restful as it would be in the thread the needle position. Now, if you are on your knees, you can extend your left arm forward. We will hold that for 3 breaths. Once completed, if you're on your knees, bring the left hand back down. If you're seated, please just simply center yourself in your seat. We'll repeat that on the other side. So with the inhale, lifting your left arm or opening it out to the side if you're seated. And with the out breath, threading the needle, coming to rest down to the ear, the shoulder, or holding onto the arm if you're in the seated pose. If you're on your knees, like myself right now, the right arm could extend forward while you're holding the upper body twist. Simply many more variations of this form, but this is the one I've chosen for today. Sliding your right hand back down, releasing your arm if you're seated, and returning onto all fours. Now, I will ask you all to lie down on the front of the body. If you're able to do a plank, do at least a kneeling or even a full plank, if that feels good. Tailbone is tucking towards the heels, and with the exhalation, then descending down onto the mat. Let your forehead come to rest. Your hands, they stay under the shoulders. Your elbows are a bit snugged in. It's the tops of the feet that are resting on the ground. We'll go through a few waves of back bending. So while you're inhaling, wave up, baby cobra. On the exhale, release the upper body down. On the inhale, waving up, baby cobra. On the exhale, lower back down. So do tuck your chin in, create that wave as you breathe in and then lower, and keep that flowing. We go for a few more rounds. Hands aren't really weight bearing, so they're just resting there. It's a movement coming from the core and strengthening the sides, the muscles either side of the spine. Last round. And then rest an ear down and let your arms release along the sides of the body. If you feel any discomfort or just a sensation of heaviness across the back and the hips, you can let them rock from side to side, hoping to release that you are experiencing is holding you back. If on the way in this practice you discover anything new that you didn't know was quite complicated, just embrace it as it is. It doesn't matter. We will just adapt our bodies. Turning your head back into center. If you felt the cobra was for you, please bring your hands back underneath the shoulders. Otherwise, you can keep your arms long and repeat the waving from here. On the inhale, waving up, maybe coming even into an up dog. On the out breath, releasing back down. On the inhale, waving up, maybe even an up dog. On the exhale, lower back down. We'll only do 3 more, so waving is fine for a cobra. Waving is fine for a locust. One last round. And then release your arms again, and this time turn your left ear to the mat and rest it down again. Your choice once more to wiggle through the pelvis or let your lower legs sway from side to side. As you release the legs again, using your hands down by the sides, come up onto all fours. And my suggestion is to take your way forward to stand at the short edge of the mat, the upper body hanging down. On an exhalation, roll up your body into standing. Raise your shoulders as you inhale and roll them back and down, and turn the palms of your hands to face forward. So deliberately will I now leave out vinyasas. We've done plenty of back bending. So this class becomes more suitable for people who don't want to do downward facing dogs. Or have a problem holding them for various reasons. With your next inhalation, therefore, raising the arms up, turn the hands outward, and as you circle your arms behind your back, if you can, interlace the hands here. Let the arms lengthen down the back, maybe away from the back. Start to lift from your heart, maybe lifting your gaze. And then bend your knees deeply. And as you're breathing out, descend your belly over the thighs. Lift your hips while you may lower the head. Arms could be raised away from the back. And we stay in this for a while. So let's lean the weight forward within the grounded feet so the tailbone is high. Arms you can choose to rest down or keep lifted. Standing forward bend. Now let your hands fall back down towards the floor. On the inhale, take a half lift. On the exhale now, step your right foot only just about a meter back and ground it down at hip distance, so as if we're standing on train tracks. Keep a bend in the front knee. And as you inhale, lift your arms up for a warrior one. As you settle into the warrior one, keep your front knee over the ankle so the bend isn't too deep. If it feels too deep, as that's your achy side, you could also lengthen the leg instead. If there's any discomfort in the back, it's likely because the heel is on the floor. In that case, you may lift the heel off the ground. A further option, you could lift your gaze up or even touch the palms of your hands together over the head. If you do choose to look up, look at your thumbs. Finding the strength in the stands here in the legs. Now let's inhale. Stretch up further into your fingers. And when you're exhaling, then twisting to the left with your hands coming to the heart. I'd ask you to repeat that. On the inhale, raise the arms. Keep your warrior stance though. Stance is not changing. As you exhale, come in for a twist. Let's do that once again. Inhaling, raising the arms. Exhaling, coming for a twist. Now stay here. Let your shoulders be at ease. The foundation here is very strong, but you twist it. Either stay here or take an inhale and extend your arms out to shoulder height, forward and back. With your next inhalation, just lifting the heel of the back foot. Let your arms come up again. And as you breathe out now, circle the hands again behind, interlace the hands, lengthen them down or away from your back. Start to lean the torso a little bit forward. Your choice now from here is to peel the back foot away from the ground and lift it like you do for warrior three. Arms can be on the back or lifted away from the back. Let's point out the toes. Landing the foot down, Roll up through the spine. Now we've got a much wider stance and the back toes are turned open. And as you inhale, lifting again your heart, maybe the arms away from the back. And a humble warrior as you bow down to the inside of your front leg. Now I'm aware that for some, the bend of the knee here could be a bit much. You can let that go a little. For others, the bend is just right with the knee over the ankle joint. Arms again can be lifted away from the back or resting down. Please mind that you're grounding through the outer edge of your back foot as well, and that the front knee, if it is bent, is aligning over the toes. The head can be low, arms may be lifted, or you can rest the interlaced hands onto your lower back and just slide them across to give yourself a soft massage. Let's release the hands. Walk the hands now in between your feet and turn your feet the way you're facing, aligning the outer edges with the short edges of the mat. Come onto your fingertips as you're lengthening the spine forward. And then with your out breath, folding down. Your hands can be supported by a block, or you could rest the hands underneath the shoulders. Lifting the shoulders gently up into the shoulder socket. And once more, we're leaning the weight forward here in the feet, so the tailbone is quite high. And with the shoulders elevated, there's a lot of space around the neck. And the only thing here to do is then to breathe. So using your exhalation to deepen the wide-legged forward fold or Prasarita Padottanasana. Feel the breath flowing in and out, maybe deepening your breathing again if you were more focused on the postures themselves. Now come back up onto your fingertips as you're breathing in. Turn your left toes back towards the front end of the mat. Walking the hands to either side, lifting the back heel off the ground. And as you inhale, relax into the lunge. So you bend your knees, you let your head hang. And as you're breathing out now, rolling up into standing. And as you inhale, spread your arms out. Again, lean the weight forward, and you can slide the foot in or lift the knee up from behind. If it's possible, cross the legs over. If not, please stand with your knees bent, legs together. Otherwise, your big toe might be on the ground or lift it. Taking now your right arm to cross underneath the left, either to hug your shoulders or to touch the palms of your hands together. Pausing here in the eagle. Steadying your gaze. See if despite the balance, there's still a good flow of energy, and the hugging of the arms and legs against each other might stimulate that flow of energy as the energy channels, or nadis, how we call them in yoga, are sitting there. To release, unwind the arms, lift your wings, lift the knee, and then step the foot down and release the palms forward, standing firmly on 2 feet, mountain pose, Tadasana. Crown of the head is reaching up, and if you like, you can close your eyes. Just noticing imbalances in the body, things that flow, these that don't. Notice as we oftentimes all have things going on, if they actually distract you, prevent you from flowing, I would rather like to see these things as our teachers, and that we can learn about ourselves. With your next breath in, raise your arms again. Turn the palms outward, and as you interlace the hands behind the back this time, just swapping the fingers on top. Lengthening the arms down or away from the back as you may lift your heart, open your throat and your gaze. And then bend your knees deeply as you breathe out. Let your belly rest over the thighs. Maybe the arms are lifting. Another standing forward bend where we lean the weight forward within the feet so the tailbone is nice and high. Couple more breaths. And then let your hands fall towards the floor. And with the inhale, lengthening your spine forward. And with the exhale, let's step the left foot back about 1 meter out to hip distance. Again, as if you're standing here on tracks. Reach the arms forward and up to complete a warrior one. And let your shoulders soften down. Your front knee is aligning again over the toes as you land firmly in your strong warrior stance. Options to touch the palms of the hands together and even lift your gaze up towards your thumbs. It's fine to keep the head facing forward. This is all about the strength of the warrior. That inner strength that we also need to master our life and the circumstances of our life. And while you breathe in, stretch up more into your fingers. And as you're breathing out, let the hands come to the heart and turn the body. On the inhale, reaching the arms back up. On the exhale, come back into your twist. Legs unchanged, one more round. Inhaling, lift. And exhaling to hold the twist. Keep your strong stance on both of your feet. Try and stay connected to that ground that is supporting you, that is stable and steady, holding. If it feels right, extend the arms forward and back, holding your twist as you breathe in. On the next inhalation, then raise the back heel, center the torso, reach your arms up overhead. And when you breathe out and interlace the hands behind the back, do that in the odd way as well. As you lengthen the arms down the spine or away from it, leaning a little bit forward. Please feel free to stay exactly here if this is what feels right for you. Otherwise, you may raise the leg and come into a warrior three. Yeah, in the warrior, please flex the foot. Take your gaze down, the strong back leg. And then step the foot all the way back. Land the whole heel down. Let your toes be turned out. And lift through the upper body, maybe the arms again away from the back as you open the front. If possible, leaving your knee at a bend. And as you're breathing out, coming back down into the humble warrior. The arms might be lifted away from the back as you hold here. Leaning down doesn't necessarily mean you're placing all the weight forward. Try and balance the weight between the 2 feet as you're grounding down through them. Let's release the hands down. Walk them again between the feet. Turn the outer edges of the feet to align with the outer edges of the mat. Lengthen through your back as you breathe in. And if you were finding the previous forward fold, the right one for you, come back into that. Or you could take a hold of the outer edges of the feet if you can reach there. In that case, maybe even keeping the gaze downwards onto the floor. And you could then spread your elbows out while you keep your shoulders lightly lifted. Gaze points, not so important. More important, how's your neck going? And maybe deepening again by just leaning a little bit forward within the grounded feet. Stay there, 3 more breaths. And you completed your last breath, release your hands from where they were. Turning your foot back to the short edge of the mat and taking your hands to either side as you lift the back heel. On the inhale now, collapsing the lunge. On the out breath, lifting up. On the in breath, just open your arms out wide. And maybe just stepping the foot forward, feet next to each other, or lifting the knee and crossing the leg over. If you do so, your big toe can be on the ground or you can balance all together. Your left arm then goes underneath the right for a shoulder hug or to touch the palms. Let the shoulders relax and lift the elbows, no matter your choice. Starting to bring that squeeze back into the limbs, so to stimulate the energy lines, and with that, a deeper flow, not only of energy, but also of the other bodily fluids that are encouraged with that squeeze to move. Have a nice and steady gaze point though, and notice if there's a gentle breath flowing. It doesn't have to be that deep in the balance. Let's unwind, lift wings and knee, and then landing back down into the mountain. Once again, turn the palms forward. Without further ado, just standing here, embracing all as you might close your eyes or steady your gaze. That you can experience, such as more weight in one foot. And even if you don't act upon it, your body, as you observe it in its internal flow, might adjust that. It takes a bit longer than when you act upon it. But if you trust your body, it will do what is required to find inner harmony and balance. For your next in-breath, lifting the arms again. Now please have a big sigh as you're breathing out to fold forward. And then use that to sit down onto the mat, and you can extend your legs forward here. I'm currently thinking about, we've done enough forward bending. I would have liked you to come into an upper body stretch, but that involves a deep bend in the knees. So for those of you that struggle with a deeper bend in the knees, I suggest to potentially even leave your legs out long, but do make sure that you've got some support underneath so it feels okay to sit upright and tall. For anyone who would like to practice this fully, bend your knees, reach underneath your left leg and grab your right ankle. And then take the right ankle to the outside of the hip. If you find this is enough, you can leave the other foot just resting here. But if it's possible, take the opposite ankle, to aim to stack your knees and aim to bring your feet to the outside of the hips. None of that is essential, just go with what is right for you. With the inhale then, we all lift the left arm. and bending at the elbow so the hand drops behind. While you might keep your upright seat, take a hold of the elbow and guide it back. So the neck is part of the spine, of course, and I would love your head to be upright. So rather than letting it drop forward, which is quite tempting, if you want a bit more, reach your arm out to the side and then bring it behind and reach for a bind. If you find this becomes challenging or you're leaning forward, rather come back and join me with the hand on the elbow. Maybe close the eyes and observe what is going on in this shape. It might be quite a fair bit, and you can feel some strength and tightness. Embrace that and keep breathing slowly. With the inhale, then release the arms and bring the fingertips down as you breathe out. Lean a little bit back, especially if you bend your legs, and extend them forward as you give them a little shake. If you keep your legs out long, there's not much to do, so you're quite fortunate. Otherwise, reach underneath your right leg, take your left ankle, and bring the foot across to the outside of the hip. So same option here. You could leave this foot on the ground. If it feels right, take the ankle and place it out to the side. As you can see, nothing has to be perfect in any posture or form, as long as it's fine for your body. With the inhale, then reaching your right arm up, and then bring the elbow to bend the hand behind the head, and reach for the elbow if that feels all right. Keep your head upright. Think of your neck and extension of the spine, and you might even feel with your fingers how the natural curve of the neck. You might choose to deepen and swing your arm out and bend it behind for a bind, but if you prefer, you can also return or keep the hold of the elbow. Again, center yourself in the mind as you might close your eyes, feeling into these multiple sensations. One more breath. And as you inhale, release the arms out, land the fingertips behind, lean a little bit back to unwind your legs, and you could give the legs a little shake. Time flies when we're having fun, so it's time to lie back down for one more posture if you choose to. But maybe grabbing things that keep you warm, that support you, bolsters, blankets, cushions, and then roll your spine down slowly onto the floor. Let the arms relax and notice how it feels to land on the mat again. If you like, you can bend your knees and step the feet down to the ground. You might have little shuffles here to align yourself. For our last postures, lift your feet off the floor, take your knees out wide, your ankles right over your knees, and you can take a hold of the backs of the thighs into a happy baby. Now, I suggest to do that for anyone who has trouble reaching the feet, but maybe also if your knees are quite achy or you can't fully grip onto the feet. If you do want to extend, straighten your arms upwards on the inside of your knees and then take a hold of the outer edges of the feet. Whether you're holding onto the backs of the thighs or the feet, encourage with each out breath your knees towards the floor, just outside of your body. We're using the happy baby as a further encouragement to release through the hips. but also as an inversion with the feet being high and maybe the hands too. If you haven't done so yet, you might choose to on one leg and then the other to create a soft rocking over the back. And then come back into stillness, letting go of your legs as you step your feet down to the ground. If you do prefer, because you're protecting your back, your knees to stay bent, wiggle your feet to about mat distance and let the knees drop in. If you feel legs out long is fine, you can straighten the legs out, but you could also pop a rolled up blanket or bolster underneath the legs. Let your feet roll out towards the sides, the arms open, keep your shoulder blades snugged under. That lengthen the spine as you close the eyes or steady your gaze towards the ceiling. We're coming into the stillness that Shavasana or relaxation pose, corpse pose provides us with. Freeing ourselves for a little while from the physical body as we allow that to be still and resting. Allow your mind to tune back in with the flow that is ebbing right now. The flow from the pumping of the heart that allows the blood to flow. The flow of lymph settling in that we encouraged to flow with the movements. The breath becoming more gentle and soft, but its flow continues on. If you like to keep this all as your focus, please do. Otherwise, could you choose to do a meditation? For that meditation, imagine you sit next to a river or stream, at a spot where you can be quiet and undisturbed. Keep connecting to the flow of breath for a little while to maintain the quiet and to center your mind. Notice now how the water flows over and around rocks or roots. Contemplate how life is more harmonious when you do not resist it or go against it. You're not forcing anything, but go with the current rather than against it. Not getting hung up on any higher goals. Winning. Then contemplate how you feel when trying to force an issue or make something happen according to your wishes. Even if you get your way, how do you feel being in conflict and contemplation with others? Is that the best approach for all? What if you observe the flow of energy in nature and in human behavior and choose the most harmonious way of dealing with it? Go back to watching and observing the stream and how water flows. But choosing the path of least resistance. How can you use this wisdom of nature to make your life and the lives of those around you more peaceful and harmonious? Turning from the observation of the stream or river, reconnecting to the flow of your breath. Start to deepen the flow of breathing in and out of the nostrils. Maybe now adding some movement or stretches. And then joining me in a seated position, whether you sit up over the front or you bend your knees and roll to your side is up to you. And if it is right for you, please then touch the palms of your hands together in front of the chest. The thumbs towards the sternum, subtle bow of the head. Connecting again to the space within you where everything is just flowing smoothly, finding its way around the rocks and the roots. And maybe you've gained a little bit of harmony and peacefulness within yourself. We'll extend these feelings to each other with a light bow. Namaste.